Hakujaden is Hakujaden is the very first color animated feature-length film from Japan that was released in 1985 by Toei Animation. It's a cinematic interpretation of the Chinese folk tale of the same name. The film combines aspects from the oral traditions, novels, and theater plays of the folk tale, making it a strong representation of the folk tale itself. But I feel you will enjoy this film more if you first familiarize yourself with these versions of the folk tale, although that's not strictly necessary. That said, I will tell you my layman's armchair theory on the Hakujaden folk tale origin. So, Kongshan, there was a farming town that lay along a long-established trade route. That means merchants passes through that town. And some of those merchants are slave traders that abduct kids. But most parents teach their children to stay away from strangers and be racist in general, which usually prevents that. Still, adolescent males after their coming of age rite of passage are very vulnerable because they now have the right to decide on their own, even though they're still too young and stupid to make the correct ones. So all the kidnapping slave traders have to do is disguise one of them as a beautiful woman, which would let them lure an adolescent male into their hideout. This modus operandi caused a lot of families to lose their sons. After a while, parents started telling their children about this tactic, but that doesn't make the young men not stupid. Eventually, parents started telling their children about an evil white snake spirit that transforms into a beautiful woman and entices young men to follow it into its lair, where it devours them alive. And that worked really well. Must have been a big agenda item in the slave traders' annual meeting at some point. And with that, the white snake spirit that eats her admirers became a bona fide folk tale. Fast forward to near the end of the Ming Dynasty in China, the horror-themed folk tale had now evolved into a love story between a male human and a female snake. I don't know why. My best guess is that there was an emerging monster girls enthusiast scene, leading to the creation of products for that market, such as printed books and operas. And I choose to believe that the whole operation was sponsored by the Leifeng Pagoda, as its use as a backdrop is an obvious case of product placement. But everyone was just okay with that. Jeda Wanshi. Okay, now that I got that out of my system, let's talk about the film itself, Hakujaden. And don't worry, I'm not gonna spoil everything, just the character introduction. The first part of the film is a still image shadow puppets play of when the leading male character, Shushan, who is still, I'm guessing 8, bought a snake from the Chinese wet market to keep as a pet. But then his family told him to throw the snake away because it's a snake, I mean, what the And so, he reluctantly releases his pet snake at the forest fringe. I cry every time. What happened next off screen is the white snake, Painyang, did the Chinese cultivation and became a Xian through farming XP by spawn camping next to a rodent colony. And as a high-level Xian, she unlocks a bunch of magical abilities. Painyang then rescues a low-level Xian that only has a couple of magical abilities named Xiaoxing, which made them besties. And together, these two spirits will come up with a plan to meet Shushan. And wait. I'm gonna assume you're Christian, or at least from a Christian country. So when you hear the word spirit, you might think of ghosts or angels or demons. But the spirits in this case are not like that. In general, spirits in anime and video games are always presented in the context of animism rather than Christianity. Now, I know some of you might say, no, they're actually based on Shintoism and Buddhism. And for this case, Chinese folk religion, Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism because it's originally from China. And to that I say, nah, it's animism. Everything goes back to animism, even Christianity if you think about it. You know what? Let me explain animism from the very beginning. Source in the description. Animism Origins. In the beginning, 13.8 billion years ago, the Big Bang singularity, I'm just kidding, it's not that long ago, haha, got you there. 7 million years ago, the last common ancestor of the chimpanzee, pan troglodytes, and modern humans, Homo sapiens, known as the CLHCA, is in Africa right around here. We don't know what it is exactly, but it doesn't really matter, it's not special. It's just an ape with no clear human-like traits. It mainly knuckle walks, but it can walk upright if it wanted to, especially when carrying its tools, just like some apes today. It probably uses rocks to bash nuts open and sticks to disturb termites' nest, again, just like some apes today. So yeah, the CHLCA is not special. No access to seafood due to its inland habitat, so it mainly eats fruits and small animals when available, where it gets most of its evolution points. It's possible that the CLHCA is the Sahelanthropus jidensis, or maybe not. Who cares? The CHLCA is boring. Fast forward to 6 million years ago, the descendant of the LCHCA and the direct ancestor of modern humans is now less arboreal. Why the change? Well, you see, the forests keep burning and slowly turning into savannas, so it just had to adapt. Too bad big cats prey on them whenever they cross the savanna to migrate to the next forested area. Being more terrestrial, it now ventures to the coast where it discovers seafood. Seafood gave the ancestor of modern humans its additional evolution points. Aurorintuganensis lived around this time, but it rejected manchaeity way too early, so it's probably not the ancestor of modern humans. Fast forward to 5 million years ago, the direct ancestor of modern humans is now even less arboreal. And there's a good chance that it's the Artipithecus ramidus. When crossing the savanna, they equip themselves with a melee weapon that paleoanthropologists officially call the bonky stick to deter being preyed upon by big cats, though it usually works only a third of the time. Yeah, it's very rare to them to reach old age. With their lives intertwined with big cats, they have the opportunity to scavenge the predator's mostly stripped carcasses, leaving only scraps for other scavengers like hyenas. They bash open the bones to get to the marrow inside, using a tool that paleoanthropologists officially call the bonky stone. Bone marrow gave Ardipithecus ramidus its additional evolution points. Fast forward to 4 million years ago, the direct ancestor of modern humans is now mostly terrestrial. And there's a good chance that it's the Australopithecus afarensis. It spends most of its time in the savanna, so it's very reliant on its new melee weapon, what paleoanthropologists officially call the stabby stick. They rub their long sticks on jagged rock faces to give them their not quite sharp edges. The stabby stick is not effective for hunting. Its main purpose is for deterring big cats. Too bad it only works half of the time. But still, thanks to the stabby stick, more of them now reaches old age. Now, when one of them dies, they feel sad and mourn their dead for days. But in the end, they still just leave the body for other scavengers like hyenas. Accustomed to frequent wildfires, they migrate between fire-prone zones for post-fire scavenging. And being the most undaunted by wildfires, they're usually the first to arrive and feast on the post-fire meat, leaving only scraps for other scavengers like hyenas. Wildfire meat, which is pre-cooked by the way, meaning it doesn't require a big belly to digest, gave Australopithecus afarensis its additional evolution points. Fast forward to 3 million years ago, the direct ancestor of modern humans is now fully terrestrial. Paranthropus boziae lived around that time, but it returned to monkey, so it's probably not the ancestor of modern humans. The ancestor of modern humans is most likely now in the genus Homo, and is Homo habilis. Homo habilis has enough int to unlock the shaping ability, and to use what paleoanthropologists officially call the stabby stone. They used the stabby stone to upgrade the stabby stick to the really sharp stabby stick Mark II. Stabby stick Mark II is actually good enough for hunting this time, allowing them to kill small game and deliver shallow wounds to medium-sized game, which sets the stage for persistence hunting. Also, they use animal skins as makeshift bags to carry their stuff, and wear them like capes as part of their intimidation display against big cats, which works. So now, sleeping on top of trees is no longer necessary. They now just sleep out in the open or in rock shelters. Big cats are no longer a problem. Just kidding, they still get ambushed by big cats from time to time, just like modern humans today. And whenever one of them dies, they intube the body with dirt to protect it from other scavengers like hyenas. They stepped up post-wildfire scavenging by hauling an already burning tree branch around to extend wildfires. And since they've now developed a taste for they cook their hunted meat and seafood whenever possible. Spear-hunted meat gave Homo habilis its additional evolution points. Also, cooking accelerated height evolution. Fast forward to 2 million years ago, the direct ancestor of modern humans now look like this, and it's probably Homo erectus. Homo erectus has unlocked the crafting ability, which is a really big deal, because it lets them upgrade everything in their lives. Most notably, they crafted the stabby stick Mark III, which could inflict medium-sized wounds on medium-sized game, reducing persistence hunting time. They use animal parts to make clothes, bags, tents, and most importantly, water skins. the key item needed for them to venture through harsh desert tiles. Homo erectus is the first hominin to leave Africa and migrate to Eurasia, their new home that they immediately set on fire, because they now have enough int to use what paleoanthropologists officially call the Arsoni stone and Arsoni stick, tools that they use to cook their food, warm up their shelters, and ward off predators. And whenever one of them dies, they bury the body in the ground to protect it from other scavengers like hyenas, this time for sure. Homo erectus is so successful that you can argue that they just became the apex predator. So they can just ignore rotting carrion, leaving it for other scavengers like hyenas. Also, the ancestor of the ancestor of wolves roamed Eurasia around that time, and they sometimes scavenge whatever Homo erectus left behind after a hunt. Cooked persistence hunted meat gave Homo erectus its additional evolution points. Fast forward to 1 million years ago, the direct ancestor of modern humans now look like this, and it's probably Homo heidelbergensis. Some of the ancestors of wolves are always nearby their settlements, but still keep their distance. And during the hunt, they would guide Homo heidelbergensis to the nearest herd of game, earning them their deserved share. Homo heidelbergensis laces the tip of the stabby stick with deadly toxins, creating stabby stick Mark IV. So now, it also inflicts poison status effect, further reducing the persistence hunting time. Homo heidelbergensis did not set dry forests on fire like its ancestor, because there are no more dry forests. Homo erectus had burned them all. They are now all grasslands, and some have even turned into deserts. Yeah, that's the thing about setting dry forests on fire to harvest wildfire meat. We don't really talk about that because it's kind of racist against late hominins. So just don't tell your friends about this part, okay? But do share this video with them, and like this video, and subscribe, and leave a comment, and support me on Patreon. Anyway, grasslands are perfect for horticulture, which Homo heidelbergensis did, so it's not all that bad. Homo heidelbergensis is so good at hunting, they're always back at their settlement around noon. Their free time unlocks art, letting them create basic visual art, music, ergonomic tools, hunting tools, combined scents, and combined flavors. Homo heidelbergensis is living the life, and whenever one of them dies, they bury the body in a ritualistic manner. Not because they believe in spirits, but because it's their way of showing respect and love for their deceased tribe members. Cooked, protodog guided, persistence hunted game meat gave Homo heidelbergensis its additional evolution points. Oh, and they have some crops from horticulture too, yeah. Also, they started going to war with each other over territory, which accelerated brain evolution. Fast forward to 0 million years ago, and we arrive at the time of the Homo sapiens. Now, you're probably a Homo sapiens yourself, so the pointers in this segment might not interest you much, but here they are anyway. Some wolves are now part of the Homo sapiens tribe. We call them dogs. Homo sapiens used the stabby stick Mark V. Mark V utilizes the Atal tactical module, greatly increasing Mark V's range and attack points. As a result, a medium-sized game that gets hit now suffers a deep wound, further reducing the persistence hunting time even further. Homo sapiens' big brain has unlocked greater crafting, greater art, and relevant to our subject matter, Socratic questioning. So whenever they're not inventing new things or pursuing self-expression, they're asking amongst themselves, why? Why is the sky blue? Why do we dream? Why are we born? Why do we get sick? Why do we grow old? Why do we die? Why is the meaning of life? Hey look, it's Sam! Hey kids. Hey kids, I can't do it. Hey kids. Sam? Why? Oh, it's simple, Timmy. It's the spirits. Just eat these mushrooms and breathe in these scents, and you will understand. You see, kids, everything in this world has a spirit. Some spirits are weak, like that ant, that flower, this blade, and that big cat behind me. Some spirits are strong, like the wind, the forest, the ocean, and our ancestors. They might have lost their physical bodies, but our ancestors are still with us. Also, some spirits don't even know we exist. Some don't care about us. Some hate us, but some love us, like our ancestors, who continues to help us using their spiritual powers. I call this belief system animism. Wow, Sam, we should make all the spirits love us. Good idea, Timmy. But as you already know, some spirits are really scary and dangerous. They will kill, eat, and even torture you if you get on their bad side. That is why I'll do it. To make the spirits love us, I will spend my life in a dark cave, performing the ceremonies the spirits instructed me to do. Yes, the spirits have chosen me. I will be doing this all my life from now on. And what's that? Yes. The spirits are saying that you guys must bring me the most yummy food in the land so I can offer it to the spirits. Go now. Hit it, Timmy. And so Sam plus animism, which we now call shamanism, the oldest profession in the world, was established. Humans have unlocked animism to counteract Socratic questioning so that they can go on with their lives. Sam also performs other ceremonies outside of the cave, such as birth rituals, coming of age, weddings, and funerals. Eventually, Sam did the Chinese cultivation and became the very first human Xian, and the first to unlock all of the abilities in the tech tree. And it is said that Sam still resides in the mortal realm and continues to mediate with the great spirits for the benefit of humankind, even up to this day. Yeah, right. The film then time skips to when Shushan is, I'm guessing, 16 years old. He's shown doing teenager things, playing the flute, being useless, hanging out with a red panda and a regular panda. You know, teenager things. The red panda named Mimi and the regular panda named Panda are original characters. Do not steal, by the way. This is just Toei animation. It's very fitting, inserting a Disney animal mascot routine does not collect exotic animals. Panyang commencing their wacky plan to meet Shushan by duetting her Chinese fiddle with his flute. This lures Shushan to her, but psych, it's an apparition. Panyang then proceeds to keep appearing to him from afar. Xiaoxing leaves the Chinese fiddle for the pandas. This way. Maybe the plan is to make him obsessed with her. She did this while avoiding the Taoist monk Pai Hai that is looking to exorcise them. Because animal Xians are just later that night, you see that Shushan had received the Chinese fiddle, and so the Xians were forced to lie low. And when he plays his flute, the Chinese fiddle magically about the woman in the white dress, which is just cool, as planned, not creepy, according to the film. But the next morning, Shushan decides to return the magical Chinese fiddle who introduces herself as a servant of Panyang, lead him to where they found it, and she invites him to meet Panyang herself, the owner of the Chinese fiddle. Xiaoxing then leads Shushan and the pandas through the town, all the while avoiding the Taoist monk Pai Hai, and eventually into Panyang's magical mansion. In the mansion, Shushan and Panyang finally reunites. Shushan offers to return the Chinese fiddle, but Panyang simply states that it's a gift, and that they met before, and that she loves him. Shushan thinks this must be a dream, that he has suddenly gotten a rich and hot fangirl out of nowhere, and now they're lovers. Romantic background music plays as they stroll through the mansion's garden. Or is that Panyang singing? And I don't think it's because Toei Animation is being the thing about the animation. Film. It has very few. This is their first full-length film after all. I think they had a hard time doing it properly, so they just skipped most of it. And Toei Animation is technically just 3 years old. Wait, don't follow her in They just don't have the level of expertise yet. An interesting fact about this film is that it was released during the Japanese cinema's golden age, a period in which Japanese film directors, and prominently the great artist Akira Kurosawa, cultured bombed the West with their masterpieces. Well, to be fair, so Hakujaden is good simply by director of Hakujaden, right? Was a pioneer of Japanese animation. And back then, they were basically winging it, trying to do a Disney, so the result is only so-so. Taiji Yabushita was active during the 60s, directing toy animation films that are mostly based on folktales. And I think Hakujaden is his most significant work. And the reason why Toei decided to make Hakujaden their very first animated feature-length film and not this is because Toho, a different film production company, made bank in Hong Kong with their 1956 Hakujaden film Byakupuji no Yoren. And Toei was like, guys, Toho's Hakujaden film. You know, the one with the ugly bastard NTR bait? Byakupuji no Yoren? Byakupuji no Yoren, right. It's a box office hit in Hong Kong. We too should make international films, guys. Let's make Puss in Boots. No, let's make Simba the Sailor. No, guys, let's make Journey to the West for Hong Kong. And Toei's boss was like, no, we'll make our own Hakujaden film. However, we'll use that. Are you still with me? Oh, right. How to enjoy Hakujaden? Well, if you're in the mood for the Japanese cinema's golden age animated feature-length film, and for the very first color Japanese animated feature-length film, yeah, just watch it. But don't expect a masterpiece though. This film is not that good. They give the animal characters way too much screen time. So much that it sidelined the main story. And it's really weird. It feels like this film was made for children, not YouTubers. I mean, the main story is so basic, like they only kept the essential elements in. That's why I said at the very beginning of this video that you will enjoy this film more if you're already familiar with the different versions of the folktale. Also, the animation in general is just meh. But still, it's an interesting film. Especially when you want to compare it to what Disney was capable of around that era. And remember, the folktale did stand the test of time, so yeah. Also, you can argue that Paimon is the very first anime waifu, Xiaoxing too, and that they deserve to have their fair share of off-model fan art to be floating around the internet. But just like the very first animated feature-length film from Japan, I'll explain why in a later episode. Playlist in the description. This film is not anime. There's no good Hakujaden video game out there. Now, for the gamers that are watching, a snake level where you try to become a Xian, where you play as Paimon going through 3 different types of levels. A Pac-Man-esque level where you steal from the palace, and a Smopsh level where you fight Pahai as the final boss. Now, but don't be sad, I plan to add a Hakujaden team campaign to my top-down action game in the future. Now, I know my game looks like this at the moment, but trust me bro, it's gonna be awesome, just like your favorite anime. Okay, so I'm gonna rank this below Momotaro Umi no Shinpei because Hakujaden is just okay-ish. And I think that's it. We're done with the second animation for 1980. So yeah, bye. Hey. Last episode we added a block breaker level in our game LeLeLe. Today, we're gonna increase the game's resolution from 120p to 180p. And also some other miscellaneous updates. Now, if you don't want to do the whole
6
steps, you can download a copy of the updated version and its source code on my Discord, on my Patreon, link in the description. Okay, let's do this.
Step 1
Trim the longest class files, tennismap.java and breakoutmap.java. Last episode, we converted the magic walls to actual entities. Now, we're gonna convert the rest of the map elements to entities. Except for the ball, that is for the next episode, because it's complex. The ball is the map element that checks per collision. So we'll skip that for now.
アップデートクラス
And there you go. They are now mostly entities. Nothing changed in the gameplay, but tennis map.java and breakout map.java are now smaller. Not really, but the classes are now easier to read. Okay, let's keep going.
ステップ2、
Implement palette swapping. Remember last episode when I created a red explosion image file in addition to the white explosion image file for the imp summoning animation? Yeah, that's a bad idea. What I should have done is create a method that can programmatically change the color of the white explosion to red. Just like when games have multiple versions of the same enemy but with different colors. And that's what we're gonna do in this step.
アップデートクラス。
And there you go. Red explosion without the need for another PNG file. I also included all of the 140 HTML name colors as presets in my palette swapper. Fuchsia and magenta are the same color. For easy palette swapping of future textures. Anyway, we can now rename explodewhite.png to just explode.png and delete explodered.png, saving us a whopping 1.33 kilobytes. Woo!
ステップ3、
Asset Manager and Loading Screen. Like I said in the last episode, we're now gonna utilize libGDX's Asset Manager. Because, well, I now know for sure that it's the optimal way of loading assets into RAM. And we're also gonna implement a loading screen. We don't really need a loading screen per se, it's just that the Asset Manager and loading screen naturally go hand in hand. And I'm gonna move the palette swapper into the Asset Manager where I feel it belongs. Now, this step is like a complete overhaul. Most of the class files are affected. So, take this time to stretch your legs, relax, and enjoy the music.
ニューアセッツ。ニュークラス。アップデートクラス。
And there you go, the Asset Manager and loading screen. The Asset Manager conveniently allows us to load our assets all in one go, and also dispose of our assets all in one go. So, does that mean I only call dispose once from the main class? No. I want my screens to each have their own sprite batch and stage, so I still need to dispose of those. I don't know. Maybe I'll end up using just one sprite batch and stage in the future, but I just don't feel like it right now. Also, the Asset Manager loads assets asynchronously for our loading screen to display. That we only get to see for less than a second. Yeah, like I said, we don't need a loading screen yet. And I don't think we're ever going to need a loading screen. I mean, just watch me load more than 500 MB of music into the RAM. Yeah, that's a whole CD right there. Solid state drives had made loading screens obsolete. Well, at least for 2D games. But I'll keep the loading screen anyway because it looks badass.
ステップ4、
Increase the game's resolution. We started developing Project LeLeLe 3 episodes ago in 120p. Because that's my headcanon for what the resolution of the first generation console should be. But Block Breaker, to me, feels more like a second-gen game than a first-gen game, while Pong is first-gen incarnate. So it's only natural for me to increase LeLeLe's resolution from 120p to 180p, and also remaster all of the graphics files to make the visuals even more lifelike.
New assets. アップデートクラス。
And there you go, LeLeLe in 180p with ultra-realistic graphics. Notice that I only need to modify the main class for this step. Yeah, I made this game scalable from the very beginning. It's all part of the Keikaku.
Step 5.
Title bar version number. I think the version number just being in the file name is inadequate. There should be a way for us to know what version it is whilst playing. Yeah, let's just put it in the title bar.
アップデートクラス。
And there you go, the version number. The game is now version 2.0 because of the resolution increase. That's just how I increased the major version number by a generation. And to wrap it up,
Step 6.
finalizing and compiling. Now that we have an asset manager, we no longer need to check for disposable libGDX classes. We just have to compile the game. Nice. I knew the asset manager is not a mistake. That's it, we're done. We now have a game that we can rename to anything we want and move to anywhere we want. A game that can run on Windows, macOS, and Linux. And again, the game and the source code is on my Discord, on my Patreon, link in the description. And if you download the game, please leave a testimonial in the comment section. Thanks, bye. Hey, last episode we established that a block breaker level that has an average of 123 rectangles uses around 36% of benchmarker Mark I's processing power. And now, we're gonna test if the remastered game's block breaker level can still run on a 1-core, 1-thread desktop computer. So brace yourselves. LeLeLe version 2.0.0 versus benchmarker Mark I. Here we go! Oh look, we now have a 1080p 60fps camera. Yay! Yeah. Remember my Acer Android phone from episode 1? Yeah, I dropped that phone a few months ago. It slipped through the hole in the front pocket of my shorts. It's a big hole. Did I mention I'm poor? The phone still works, but the crack spots on the touchscreen are kinda sharp. It feels like it's giving me microcuts. So, I borrowed some money from my father. Who am I kidding? I'm broke. I can't pay him back. So I asked my father for some money and got this new mid-range Sony Android phone and a cheap tripod. Apparently, mid-range phones these days can record at 1080p 60fps. Also, my father is kind of the reason for the delay of this video. In case you're wondering why this episode took so long. It's a dumb family matter, not that interesting. Anyway, back to the game. After updating Linux Mint, Goberlay, and Mangahood, LeLeLe version 2.0.0 requires... I'm gonna say still around 36%, just like the last version. After all, we only increased the game's resolution by 50%. The number of stuff in the game didn't change, hence CPU usage is not affected. Also, notice we don't get to see the iGPU load anymore. I can think of 3 possible reasons. Removing the unused GT610 might have messed up the settings, or the latest Mangahood might have dropped support for Sandy Bridge iGPUs. Or, hopefully, it's just that I need to upgrade to Linux Mint 22.3 instead of merely updating Linux Mint 21.2 for full Mangahood compatibility. I'll upgrade next episode. We'll see if that does the trick. So yeah, LeLeLe version 2.0.0 can run on a 1-core, 1-thread desktop computer. Before I end this video, I just want to thank Professor Christopher Scotese for providing me with the Paleogeographic maps. Even though I admitted that I'm not from any academic circles, that I'm just some unemployed guy making YouTube videos. Thank you so much, sir. You are a gentleman and a scholar. Professor Christopher Scotese also has a YouTube channel if you want to check out his work. Link in the description. Yeah, I think that's it. End of video.